Hey Rangers, welcome to Super Report Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going over the Diamond Reissue X-Plus Godzilla 1984. If you can tell by the sound of my voice, I've been very sick for the past few days and haven't really gotten around to doing any editing or videos, so main reason why you'll see at the beginning of this video there's not a skit, because I can't really do voices or anything and it's kind of hard to talk right now. But I wanted to get a video out to you guys, so we're going to plow through this review. If you guys are interested in this figure after this review, I picked mine up at Flossie, which is usually the best price I see for X-Plus figures stateside anyways, especially for the reissues. So if you guys haven't checked out Flossie's gifts, there'll be a link in the description where I picked this one up. And also you can find this at like Big Bag Toy Store or Amazon, yada yada yada. If you guys don't know what this suit's from, it's from the film Return of Godzilla, or as us stateside fans know, Godzilla 1985, which is my second favorite Godzilla suit of all time. And has it been an X-Plus that I've been highly anticipating them to reissue because I missed out on it the first time, and then it got kind of to be expensive. So I was pretty much just hoping that he would get reissued at some point. And this is the standard version of the figure, which is going to have the fixed jaw, which there is another version where you can actually articulate the jaw. I think that was the Rick Boy, not 100%. But if you guys haven't seen Return of Godzilla, awesome film. Pretty much returns Godzilla to being a bad guy after the Showa series, which you haven't seen it, really great. Also reintroduces Raymond Burr's character Steve Martin. And it's easily one of the more scary Godzilla films that I've seen, especially with that beginning scene on the boat. Oh, they used to give me jitters when I was a kid. But this suit, I always just really stood out to me as being really cool, really imposing. And I actually used to love the animatronic that they used inside of the movie too. That thing looked terrifying. I still kind of want X-Plus of that one too. Please, pretty please. But this is more based off the actual suit that you've seen in the film over the animatronic. But anyways, without further ado, for his packaging, pretty nice image on the front here of the figure side of the box, where you get a nice little menacing image of him on the top here. X-Plus Garage Toys PX Preview exclusive. Godzilla 1984. Some random stuff on the bottom with some Lego Mumbo Jumbo. And then for the rest of the packaging, just brown cardboard with some more Lego Mumbo Jumbo on the back here with some warnings. So let's get this guy opened up out of his cardboard prison. Alright, so now that we have 1985 opened up out of his cardboard prison, first we're going to go over his details. Which this is just a figure, it's a statue, so there is no articulation on this. Because you'll notice on his jaw, just like I said previously, there are versions of him with an articulated jaw which can open and close. This one is the fixed version though. So he's always going to be sitting here with his mouth open and roaring, which works perfectly fine for me. Because with that frowning brow and bloodshot eyes, he just looks super menacing. And then his teeth look very nice too, very sharp, very pointy, with some bone coloring on the top here. His tongue is done in a very red flesh tone. And even on the roof of his mouth too as well. Looks really, really cool. Same kind of flesh tone you see the tongue painted in. And then for his skin coloring, it's done in a very charcoal gray with some light gray accents with some darker gray undertone highlights. The only thing is that I kind of wish the eyes maybe stood out a little bit more. Like if they could have maybe added a little bit more white paint to the eyes, because they do kind of blend in with the skin coloring here just a little bit. And pretty much the eyes in general just kind of blend in, but still looks really nice too. I really love how the light just kind of shines off of it. Kind of gives it that little wet shine to it. And then for the top of his head, where you can start seeing the dorsal spines, which the center portion here actually is where the gray coloring starts to come into effect, and then the rest of it doesn't really start forming until the three lines, the three rows here. And then once you get to the 5 here, it separates into what we get with the normal dorsal spines, which he has a very weird set of dorsal spines, which this is correct for the Godzilla for the film. But for the most part, when you think of Godzilla, you think like the larger spines are mainly going to be on the center of his back, going down his spine here. Well, this one actually elongates right about the top of his thigh, which was always kind of a weird choice for me, because it kind of looks like his dorsal plates are just kind of sagging on his back. But they do look really cool. The detailing on them is very nice, where you get that little scaled plating on the center sections of the dorsal spines, with this really nice light gray for the little spike parts of the spines. And you can see here for some of the seam lines for the actual suit actor, which is cool, because you'll see that there's a little bit of a separation right here. And this is normally where the suit would kind of like fold outwards, and that's how the actor would get in and out, because you can see it right here too where it separates. And this would be the top section of the spine where it would come off the body. Then for this Godzilla's body, it's very lean when compared to a lot of the other Godzilla suits, because this guy is definitely ready for combat with his very enclosed chest. But this is where you get the more traditional Heisei Godzilla look, where you get that folding over skin on the top portion of his chest, and then where it separates right here on the center section. And then the front of his body is more of like round scales for his chest and his abdomen area, while the rest of it is done in that same standard wrinkle that you see on a lot of the other Godzilla suits from the Showa era. Claws look really cool too. It looks like he's about ready to get slashing at some buildings. A little bit more of a dynamic pose than just him and just having his arms just sitting onto the side. It'd be really cool to see this guy kind of standing next to a Super X, because it looks like he's about to try to punch something at like about chest level. So that'd be really cool to have seen. And then for his legs, his left leg is sticking out a little bit more forward, so it kind of gives him the appearance that he's taking a step forward a little bit, which again looks really good. Like the posing overall for it. And his legs are pretty thin again for a Godzilla, just like most of the suit is, but he still has this kind of same muscle bulging here on the top portion of his thigh, which also kind of reminds me a lot of grandma legs. But it definitely gives him a little bit more of a beefy appearance. But it is cool to see some of like the suit actually folding in the back here, because when the actor would be bending in on the inside, you would imagine that some of the suit for the rubbering would kind of not want to bend appropriately. And it definitely shows up right there, which is really cool to see. But the other leg, since it's sticking outwards, you're not going to have the same kind of folding that you would see on this leg back here. Now the bottom of his feet are detailed very nicely too, with a little bit of lining work here for the paddings. Got some copyright on his left foot. And then for his claws for his feet, very nicely done. Same kind of bone coloring that we've seen for the teeth, which he has 4 toes in this Godzilla, and more of the same wrinkling scaling that we see for the most of the rest of his body. Same with his claws too, done in the same kind of bone coloring. Has 3 claws and a thumb. And for the pads of his hand, detailed very nicely too, where you have the same kind of folding here like you would see on your hands when you go to bend them in. And then for his tail, which you are going to have to attach from outside of the packaging. I've actually had this figure put together for a little bit now, since I've had him for a couple weeks now and really wanted to display him. You're going to have to insert the tail. Just make sure when you're attaching it to use a hairdryer right here at the base, and then you insert the tail in while the vinyl is soft. You don't really want to do it with the section of the tailing, even though I've done that in some previous videos, because it's easier for me to get it on. But it's recommended to heat it up at the base and then insert the tail, not heat up the tail and then insert it into the base. Then for his tail, it's just bending backwards and folding upwards. Overall, looks nice. Takes up a little bit less space on your shelf than if it was laying flat on the ground. Gives him a little bit more character. And then you have his dorsal spines coming along the back here towards the tip of his tail. Painted very nicely all the way to the end here, which is really good to see. Detailing looks freaking awesome. And even on the undersection of the tail, got a little bit of detail there too, where it kind of has more of a rocky appearance on the softer underbelly of the tail. And then for his articulation, again, has absolutely none. And for some quick comparisons, here we have the X-Plus Godzilla 1984 compared to some other X-Plus figures in the 30cm scale with Mechagodzilla 1975 and Godzilla 1962. And here is some Mermaid Godzilla figures with Godzilla 2000 and Godzilla 1984. And here is some larger Bandai vinyls with Gamera and Super Gals from Gamera Guardian of the Universe. And here is the NECA Godzilla 1984 and Godzilla 2001. And here is some Ultraman or Bandai vinyls with Mega Orochi and Zeppodon. So overall, the X-Plus Godzilla 1984, I love this thing. The details on it are amazing. I love the sculpt. I love the positioning. The only real problem I have is right around the jaw. You can definitely tell that it used to be a articulated figure, but they kind of fixed that for this version. And kind of maybe would have wished that would have maybe done a little bit cleaner. But overall, with the paint job and the sculpt of this figure, definitely still worth the purchase. And he's easily one of my more favorite X-Plus Godzilla figures that I own right now, which isn't saying a whole lot, but it's definitely started to get up there. But what do you guys think? Have you guys picked up the X-Plus Godzilla 1984? What's your favorite X-Plus Godzilla figure, or Shin Godzilla, just more you think? Please let us know in the comments. Look closer pictures of them up on our website if you want to click the link in the description below. We also have our Patreon account if you guys like to help support the channel and maybe get a review out a little sooner that you guys would really love to see. Also check down the link in the description below and help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.